I'm sure some of you have experienced the tragic event of suicide in your community, or maybe even, unfortunately, your family or friends. In recent years, my own community, family, and friends have suffered from the tragic event. I've noticed an increase, especially in my community, and I think that Nebraska needs to focus on mental health care, legislation, personal change, and mental health facility growth to start better preventing suicide deaths. Through this speech, I hope to encourage you all to get on board with me and be a part of the change to decrease suicides in Nebraska. I'm speaking on this subject today because suicide, I find to be one of the most heartbreaking, tragic deaths possible for a community because it's completely preventable. I want to be a part of this change, of this crisis of mental health in our community, and I want you all to be a part of it because these are your peers that are dying, and we can do something about it, starting small and then reaching out to do bigger. There are 3 courses of action to do this. The first would be pushing for tighter mental health care and health legislation in Nebraska. The second would be using your own platforms that you have, such as social media or your job or whatever, to speak out about it and have positive attitudes and just spread kindness. And the third is getting involved at a community-based level to reach suicide prevention is the ultimate goal. There's a need for better policies and actions to prevent suicide because it's 100% preventable leading cause of death. You may be wondering, why should I care? I'm in college, it doesn't affect me. Because the World Population Review said in 2019, suicide is a public health issue for all ages, races, genders, and other demographics. As I looked through research, I found that especially college students are at risk. In fact, according to America's Health Rankings, last year the age group of people 15 to 24 years old surpassed the national average of deaths by suicide in Nebraska. So, this should matter to you because you are all in our age group. We're all in high school and college, and it is the second leading cause of death for this age group. And it's completely preventable, and we can all do something about it. This problem is evidently serious in Nebraska because the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention tells us that in Nebraska, across all demographics, suicide is in the top 10 leading causes of death for all age groups. And it is preventable, but obviously it's not being prevented. You may not realize it because you've maybe never experienced the situation of suicide in your community, family, or friends, and some might not see the problem because they're not seeing it among themselves. But it is a problem and it does happen everywhere. And there are ways to prevent it. The first way I suggest is through using our social media platform. We're all young and we have hundreds, some people even have thousands of followers on their Instagram account, and you can reach out to those people through your platforms that you have just by spreading awareness about it or just spreading words of kindness and not using your social media for hate and actions. Social media groups are a great way to reach out to people too that you might notice that they're in need through social media, so you can reach out to them. It's a great way to connect. The Nebraska State Coalition says that this is a suicide prevention method of social media, and reaching out to people is a very strategical and helpful approach. Reaching out to those through social media can make those that are feeling weak feel confident and feel that they're a part of a different community if they're maybe not connecting much with their actual communities at their home or at school, and social media gives them a new way to reach out to people and connect. The second way that I'm going to propose that we could fix this is to push for tighter legislation against bullying in Nebraska. The Nebraska anti-bullying laws in 2017, to sum it up, basically there are none. You can get bullied off campus at school and the school won't do anything about it. They won't target the bully and they won't make it stop if it's not on campus. Pretty much the only way that they can stop it is if it's at your school and they literally see it, which nowadays with the internet, people can get bullied everywhere they go, and it's pretty much, it needs to be prevented because it's a real problem and there's no laws against it to hold people accountable. Along with enforcing the laws in Nebraska, we need to enforce it in our own communities. We need to know the signs that someone might be at risk, such as feeling depressed or alone, or feeling like they don't have anywhere to go if they are struggling, and they need to know where they can find help, and we need to let them know. I know that my solution would work because in some way everyone can get involved in it, whether it's at a very small level, like posting something on your Instagram or Snapchat story and just reaching out to someone, or if it's working at a crisis center, or even maybe sending your senators an email to make their focus on these laws more prevalent. The Nebraska statewide suicide prevention plan that is in place now says that the most helpful way to impact the most important way to impact suicide prevention is through building better relationships. Without my solution, the suicide rate will increase, social media would continue to be a negative outlet, and bullying may never cease. I hope that I enlightened you about just how preventable suicide mortality rate is, and I hope that you can be a part of my mission in Nebraska to help stop suicide among your community.